Hey guys, Youthful Yields here. So a little bit down this week, so about 0.09 dollar or 9% down from last week. But that's pretty decent, all things considered. So we're about $7 down. The reason why is actually mainly because we had dividends this week. So you can see we got a decent amount of growth on our QQQ, our TQQQ BTOL combo, but we lost quite a significant amount on our high yield dividends. The main being Coney. Now you'll notice in here that there's a lot less, right? And the main reason is I'm selling NVDY, so NVIDIA, XDT, and USD. So the good news is I was waiting for USD. I was waiting for the AVGO, aka Broadcom earnings date, and that just happened, and that was luckily very good. So if I go AVGO here, you can see a 24% increase, which is phenomenal. So there's that. And that is the second largest holding. If I come over here and do USD, that is the second second largest holding in the USD semiconductor. The first being NVIDIA, which is, I've voiced my concerns about this. This is way too much in my opinion. So I think they should rebalance this. But why did this? Why I'm getting rid of NVDY and USD? I'll get into XTTE a little bit later. But for NVDY, NVIDIA, and USD, this is the main reason, right? So Trump is president-elect, and he's going to be in office in about a month's time, right? So I think it's January 20th. And one of the big things he's pushing this time around is tariffs, right? He's trying to promote job growth in the U.S., especially with stuff like semiconductors. And unfortunately, NVIDIA is going to be affected because one of their largest, if not the largest country of as a customer is China, right? Because China does a lot of AI stuff, whether or not you know that, with a lot of facial recognition and whatnot. So before this takes a dump, and I've been voicing my concern about selling NVIDIA for a long time as well, right? I think the growth has definitely, it's been great this year, but it's slowed down significantly since the beginning of this year. So that's why I'm done with it. And actually, I went to all time here, and that is the only, I can't see it, but that was the only ticker, NVDY, that I actually had loss on with capital gains, which is kind of interesting. Now, if you factor in the dividends that I've received from it, I am actually positive a little bit, or not a little bit, but I'm positive quite a good amount. So I've got my money's worth, so to speak, out of that fund, but it's time to move on. Also, recently, this has been just kind of lagging behind. I think last week we had the dividend from it, and we only got, let's see, can I see dividends? Anyways, it wasn't very much. That's the main thing. So I'm getting rid of that. USD is largely affected by NVIDIA, like I just showed. And the good news is it did go up with the AVGO stuff. Bad news is they're not holding that much of it, so it didn't go up that much. I mean, 4% is a lot, but we're still up on this as well. I think we've gained probably around $180 to $200-ish by holding this fund. I think our average cost before switching to M1 Finance was about $115, and I haven't added since. And that was before the split as well. So if we do the math here, this times 2, You have 133 minus 115, and then we have 10 shares of it. So roughly 180. So I think we've gotten our money's worth out of this, and I just don't want to hold it for that long to where these tariffs come out and really screw up NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is probably, like I'm mentioning, is just overbought anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Another humongous set of news is Palantir and MicroStrategy are joining the QQQ, aka the NASDAQ 100. Why is this amazing? For YieldMax holders of Misty and Plady, I don't know if you want to call it. That's what some people call it, is Plady. Why is it big? Because this now means that these are going to passively be invested in. So people that passively invest in QQQ, or the people that invest in TQQQ like myself, they're going to end up buying these funds, because unlike YieldMax funds, they're not synthetic holds, right? They're real, they're actually buying these funds, right? So that's great news for Palantir and MicroStrategy. Now, and I think, I don't know if it says it in this article. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. QQQ, NASDAQ 100. There's an image somewhere that shows, yeah, right here, the percentages. I'll just open this image in a new tab. So you can see MicroStrategy is right here, and that's going to be 0.46, and then Palantir up here is 0.83. So those are going to be going up quite a bit, especially because when any new fund enters the NASDAQ 100, it typically gets quite a lot of rapid growth. So, but those are going to be growing over time because people are going to be passively investing in them. And now, you know, the sentiment around the NASDAQ 100 is, like any stock in there or ETF in there, is, yeah, these funds are on the NASDAQ 100 for a reason. They're, you know, the NASDAQ 100 is essentially for innovative securities. So, yeah, right here, largest non-financial sector companies in the NASDAQ 100 is reconstituted annually in December and rebalances quarterly to its weight constituents by market capitalization. So that's really good for us as YieldMax holders. And unfortunately, I don't have a Plady or whatever you want to call it, but you know, it is what it is. Now, something else that I want to show, or you might be asking yourself now, okay, well, what are you going to do with all the money? Because we are doing quite a lot. I'm going to be throwing all of this money into YMAX. One of the most unfortunate things that happened recently was YMAX actually had a really, really, really low dividend. So if I open up the newsletter, let's see, YieldMax. I will open up the newsletter here. Also, Coney had a pretty short one too. I mean, I know it's over 100% still, but you know, the last few have been over $2. So, but YMAX 34%, right? So last week we had 67%. The week before that was 87%, right? So it's been high, but despite this, I still think it's a really good thing, right? And YMAX lags behind by a week, and we had a pretty low week here, you can see. So with all of these holdings here, so you can see 62%, 52%. All of these are actually pretty low, all things considered. The highest for that week was actually YMAG, which is crazy. But now this week for YMAX, I think it's going to be bigger because you have pretty high ones like Fiat and Coney, as well as Alti. So we'll see. I think YMAX is going to go higher, and it's great now. If I buy it on Monday, okay, tomorrow, it's going to be pretty nice to get all of those dividends. So I think I'll have something like 125 shares or something like that, which is really exciting. I just really like this fund because it's technically the most diversified fund, while offering still a very high, respectable percent distribution rate. And it's relatively holding its position in terms of, its NAV. So you can see we only lost 2.5%. And a lot of that was probably affected by Coney, which lost 14% last week. Misty, just keeps going up, but that's obviously going to come down eventually. So yeah, I'm really excited. Also, before I forget, I am planning to add more money on Wednesday. So I'll be adding either 1,000 or 1,500. I've been trying to plan to do 1,500 for this month, but unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people know how it is, especially those parents out there. I'm not a parent, but I know how it is. During the holidays, it's pretty expensive. So, I have to satisfy my wife in terms of giving her some good gifts. And I also have some family members that I'm gifting stuff to. So we might just do 1,000 for this month and call it a day, but I'll see what I can do. And I'll obviously update you guys on the next week. And so that money is going to be split between these two, and I'm very happy that we're going to be able to add more to TQQQ and BTOL. But you can also see this is really nice. A lot of people complain about BTOL on the LETF Reddit, which is hilarious. They're like, why is it always red? You can see times like this, though. This is supposed to be a hedge, right? And despite this being a hedge, it's actually still up at the same time as TQQQ. So it's pretty convenient holding these. And I think the strategy has paid off so far. Obviously, we haven't had a ton, but even this, 24% since we purchased it back in, it looks like November, maybe October. I think this maybe wasn't a different thing. I'm not sure. But you can see here, 5% money-weighted return, which is pretty dang good still for that short amount of time, and about $277 gained on TQQQ versus 62 lost on BTOL. So that's paying off as well. Yep. So just to recap, since starting this portfolio in July, I think it was July 1st, we've gained roughly 27%. From our investments and our contributions, we're up 27%. You can see that here. And here's our weekly money-weighted return, calculated via here, because this other one doesn't really, it's not amazing with dividends. So with this, we get more of a picture, I'm pretty sure. Plus, sometimes I take different positions on different accounts, whether that be on Robinhood or maybe Webull or something like that. And I'll update those here. So, because I don't really like the super low selection of crypto on M1 Finance, you get 3 funds. So you don't even have Solana on here. But yeah, anyways, you can see here that our weekly WMMR or WRM, whatever, that's high, right? It's pretty good, and it's averaged around 2% since starting right here. So we can see here 2% roughly, which is really good. And we're averaging about $90 a week. Obviously, that's going to keep going up as we invest more and more. That's the key, guys. You just to keep investing. It doesn't seem like a lot, but we're almost to $10,000, which is wild. Now, there's still a lot of that is made up of, my own money, but that's how investing works, right? You got to give a lot of your money up to make a lot of money. We've earned essentially $1,600 doing nothing, right? 27% since July. That's pretty good. Just to give you a frame of reference, if I go to Seeking Alpha here, I might have done this before, but if we go to charting and do since July, let's see, July 1st, it's gone up about 10%. So we're almost 3 times higher on our portfolio than what we would have been if we had just bought SPY, right? The S&P 500. So you gotta also compare it against that. And I hear so many negative comments about YieldMax and how it's a scam and all these things. But guys, if you have brains, you know it's not a scam. You know when to pull out to make it not, a loss, and when to stay in to make it, a gain. The main thing is the dividends, right? Keep an eye out for the NAV. Keep an eye out for the distribution rate that ticker offers, and you'll be set, right? I'm super happy with this performance, and I'm hoping that this kind of stuff continues. And if it doesn't, we take out the money and we put it in something else. It's that simple. Nothing's going to drop overnight that much. And that's why you should also diversify your portfolio. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. So I'll leave it there. But, just keep on doing your thing, guys. And you can see it's paying off. We're getting closer and closer to 10,000. That's our next milestone. And I would say maybe after that, 25K, then after that, 50K, and then 100K, and then, 250K, 500K, and then $1 million. That doesn't even really seem that far away, which is crazy considering how much money we've earned already in such a short amount of time. So, anyways, I don't want to keep rambling, but as always, guys, I wish you guys a wealthy future.